Welcome to the Simply Mindful Wellness Podcast. Join your host, Tracy, the Mindful Wellness Coach, as she takes a deeper look into nourishing your body, mind, and soul. Because being well creates the freedom to live life the way you want.
Welcome back to another episode of the Mindful Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Richardson, and today we are tackling something that's keeping a lot of women stuck in their health journey. And it's something that comes up a lot. It's something that I myself have encountered, and it's something that as a woman in their late 30s, 40s, 50s and 60s will certainly come across. And it's how stress hormones and years of accumulated imbalances are affecting your body, and more importantly, what you can do to restore a little bit of balance and harmony. If you've been one of those people that I come across that feels constantly exhausted, you're always tired, you feel a little bit wired, but you're actually tired, or you're feeling overwhelmed, or like nothing that you do, you're not seeing any real improvements. It doesn't matter how much sleep that you get, you are just not feeling well, then this is the episode for you. Because here's the truth. As we said in episode 1, your health didn't decline overnight. It wasn't one bad week or a single stressful month or, that piece of cake that you ate last week. None of that got you here. It's accumulative stuff. It's this accumulative stress and your dietary choices, lifestyle patterns, everything that's happened to you, even your past traumas that have slowly worn your system down. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see is, again, expecting that quick fix. So today we're going to break down what you need to focus on to bring your body back into a little bit of balance. And we're going to be covering why cortisol isn't as simple as too high or too low, how perimenopause makes you more stress reactive and what you can potentially do about that, why adrenal testing isn't always the way to go and it can often be a waste of money, the real solutions for supporting your adrenals, and you don't need any fancy supplements for that, and the key habits of women that get these lasting improvements. And I'm going to reiterate that from last week. So if stress is running the show in your life and you feel like you just can't catch a break at all, or if you are constantly in that wired but tired state, then this is the episode for you. So let's dive in. So why is it not as simple to say cortisol is too high or too low? Now, it gets a really bad reputation, cortisol. It's known as the stress hormone. It's often blamed for things like weight gain, for your anxiety, for sleep issues, and everything in between. But the reality is, cortisol isn't the enemy. It's just the way your body manages stress. We need it. But the problem comes when everything is out of sync. So instead of thinking of cortisol as too high or too low, I want you to think about it as a rhythm. Now, cortisol should be high in the morning. So when you wake up, you need that cortisol high to create the impetus for you to get up, get out of bed. And it gradually decreases throughout the day so that then you become ready for a restful sleep. But if you're in that constant state of stress, that natural rhythm gets disrupted. And maybe you're going to wake up feeling exhausted because your cortisol is too low in the morning. Maybe you've had a disrupted night's sleep. And then by the night time, you're going to feel wired and restless, so that you need to be going to sleep. Because your cortisol is still elevated, you're not going to be in that sleepy, restful state. Or maybe your body is in a constant high alert state. Maybe you're on edge all the time. And leading on from this is going to cause your inflammation, your anxiety, and can eventually lead to things like burnout. So the goal isn't to lower or raise your cortisol levels, it's to restore the right balance. And that starts with understanding how your stress response changes as your hormones change. So I'm going to mention the word perimenopause, or the phase that's leading up to your menopause. So how does perimenopause make you more stress reactive, and potentially what you can do about it? If you feel like stress is kind of hitting you a bit harder now than it did in your 30s or your 20s, and you're not imagining it, you just can't do the things that you used to do, So during perimenopause, our estrogen and progesterone fluctuate dramatically, and both of these hormones play a really key role in regulating your stress response. So progesterone in particular has a real calming effect on the nervous system. But when these levels start to drop, your body becomes a little bit more reactive to that stress. So essentially, it's not you becoming overreactive, it's just your resilience, your ability to manage or cope with it is not as optimal. So things that used to kind of roll off your back, like maybe a tough day at work, or an argument, or drivers hogging the middle lane is my favorite one at the moment. These can now feel a little bit overwhelming, and it's something else that perimenopause brings along. It makes you more sensitive to blood sugar fluctuations as well, which means that stress affects the way you eat, and the way you eat affects your stress. So it can kind of send you on this energy and mood roller coaster throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. And you don't know where you're at, and everyone else doesn't know where you're at either. So what can you do? You can support your nervous system. And what I mean by this is regulating that system. So deep breathing, meditation, gentle movement like walking or soma lattes is absolutely fantastic. And you can bring your body a little bit out of that fight or flight mode into a more regulated state, so what we call a socially engaged state, so that you are able to kind of go about your day without being on that high alert all the time. We need to balance your blood sugar. Now, making sure your meals include protein and healthy fats to keep that energy stable throughout the day is vital here. You don't necessarily need to overdo it on the carbs. You don't need to overdo it on fibre, fruit, veg, all of those sorts of things, but making sure you're getting good quality protein. Now, what I would say is go organic where you can, because there's less chemicals and the like in it. And if you can go grass-fed, pastured, free range, things like that, it's much better for you. If you go farm to fork, even better, because you know where things are coming from. And I always say try and shop local where you can. And these healthy fats, these are things like coconut oil or ghee or butter, tallow or lard, things like that that have commonly been portrayed as unhealthy. These are actually our healthy fats, and we need them to maintain these levels in our blood sugar. And definitely prioritizing sleep is another one. If your cortisol rhythm is off, so it should be lower at night, focusing on a sleep cycle or a sleep routine is one of the best ways to bring this back into balance. And by doing this, there's loads of details on my website, but making sure that you turn off your tech an hour before bed if you can, and making sure that you don't have any tech in the bedroom is a big one, and also a regular bedtime. That will really help. So why do I say don't bother with adrenal testing? Well, you kind of know how you feel. And loads of women tell me, loads of women ask me whether they should do this adrenal testing. And yes, it can be useful in some cases. And if you need that definitive answer, then yes, it can help. But I see lots of women spending hundreds of pounds on tests that don't actually change the way that they approach their healing or anything that they're going to do about it. So here's the thing. Adrenal tests usually measure cortisol levels in your saliva or your blood, but they don't actually tell you why your levels are out of balance. It's also a snapshot in time. So if you go in there and you're really stressed, they're going to be elevated levels there. They also don't capture the whole picture because it fluctuates throughout the day. So before you spend lots of money on expensive tests, just ask yourself, what will I do differently based on these results? Because in most cases, the best way to support your adrenals isn't about a number or pinpointing that number. It's about addressing lifestyle factors that have led to this adrenal dysfunction in the first place. Keep it super simple. Real solutions for supporting your adrenals don't require fancy supplements. So if these expensive tests and quick fix solutions aren't the answer, what can you do? The key to adrenal health is overall hormonal balance. And this isn't just about your hormones, it comes down to simple, sustainable habits. So the first thing you need to start doing is managing your stress levels. Now, it needs to be intentional. Your body needs downtime, it needs time to rest. Now, whether that's through meditation, journaling, setting boundaries, taking yourself off for a walk, removing yourself from an environment, whatever it means to you, this is what you need to be doing. Eat in a way that supports your energy. So ditch your sugar roller coaster. Stop grabbing for those sugary snacks all the time. Stop feeding yourself caffeine as soon as your energy dips. Focus on whole foods. Focus on nutrient-dense foods. What I will say is you need to move. You're not designed to be a stationary object, but don't overdo it. So don't go for high intensity, because this can really increase your cortisol levels and overstress your system again. You can do things like strength training or walking or soma lattes, Pilates, things like that instead. Try and work with your body weight if you can. Prioritize sleep like it's your job is a great thing that I tell all my clients, because it's a non-negotiable. Good sleep is one of the fastest ways to regulate your whole body system, including regulating that cortisol. And give your body time. Healing isn't about finding one thing that fixes absolutely everything. It's about consistency, it's about patience, and it's about trusting that process. So if you've been feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, or like your body just isn't cooperating with you anymore, I want you to remember this. True healing takes time. There is no magic pill, no single test, no supplement, no overnight fix that's going to do it for you. But the good news is your body wants to heal, as I said last week. When you give it the right support, when you give it the energy and resources it needs, you can commit to that consistency and you can stop chasing those quick fixes, and you will start to see that real and lasting change. So I hope this episode has helped you understand what's really going on in your body and given you some practical steps so that you can start feeling a little bit better. If you found it valuable, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts with me over on Instagram, Facebook or LinkedIn, and leave a review if you can. And your feedback, obviously, it means the world to me, because it means that I can keep delivering stuff that you want to listen to and I can keep improving. So until next time, take care of yourself, love and wellness.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Simply Mindful Wellness podcast. Join us next time for a new episode.